Public speaking is the #1 phobia in the world. Get this though, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, 74% of adults suffer from speech anxiety. So the next time you find yourself in the company of someone who's a nervous speech giver, why not ask them why they think they're nervous? You're likely to hear all sorts of reasons rattled off without them ever getting to the heart of the actual source of their anxiety. When we boil it down to its root, the fear of public speaking is really a fear of rejection. I suffered from it. When I was in school, my fear of public speaking was so intense that I willingly took zeros for my grade whenever oral reports were assigned to me. When I look back at those years, it's become pretty clear to me that my fear was driven by a deep desire to be approved of by my peers. I would do anything to avoid feeling rejected. And if I'm going to be honest, I still find myself battling with this at times today. Now consider again that statistic from the National Institute of Mental Health, that nearly 3/4 of the population of adults in this world suffer from the fear of public speaking. This tells us that above anything else in life, we fear that people are not going to accept us, that we won't measure up, that people are going to dislike us or make fun of us, they're going to exclude us, laugh at us, or that they'll even hate us. So often this fear dictates how we behave, how we speak, how we dress, what we eat, or even if we eat, how we raise our children, and even, as it did in my case, the God that we serve. So many of the choices that we make are based upon how others will view us. I know a man in his 50s whose greatest fear in life is that his mother will see him as less than adequate. If left unattended, fear of rejection or inadequacy can rule the entirety of a person's life. It becomes master over you, and in most cases, that's exactly what takes place. Fear becomes your God. The need to belong is a built-in mechanism. We all have it. Belonging is an essential part of being human. Threaten it or even tamper with that mechanism a bit, and usually it'll trigger that fight or flight response in most people. Can you imagine any greater scenario of rejection than what Jesus endured? John 1:11 says that he came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. Isaiah the prophet wrote about the depths of his rejection. Isaiah wrote, "He was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with deepest grief. We turned our backs on him and looked the other way. He was despised, and we did not care." Did you know that in the original Hebrew, the word for rejected is kodel, which means to be found lacking? In other words, when his own people, his closest friends, his best buddies, and possibly even members of his own extended family looked at him, they found that he simply didn't measure up. At least not to what they had in mind for a Messiah. Nope. This Messiah was, in their eyes, a reject. They turned their backs on him and looked the other way, Isaiah says. They wouldn't even give him a second glance because he was so far removed from what they thought their king should look like. He wasn't what they wanted. So they laughed at him and walked right on past. His rejection escalated to such a degree that even at the moment of his greatest humility and public shaming, they thought it might be fun to fashion a crown made of thorns and press it into his skull. As if to say, not only do we not accept you, but we find you to be worthy of the same treatment as the village idiot.
Lord. He has been corrupting all the people. He calls himself the king.
This man? A king? Your Majesty. Mark him well.
If you follow Jesus, you can count on being labeled a reject from time to time. It's part of his gift to you. Like a lamb to the slaughter, Jesus was silent. He didn't fear rejection. He embraced it as a necessary step in demonstrating that his kingdom was not of this world. And like him, you too can embrace the rejection you endure because you follow the undesirable king. You live in a world where hostility towards your king grows greater by the day. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That's why the world hates you. Thank God Almighty, Christian, you were born to be a reject.